The global pandemic has put a stop to a lot of large public events, but a Detroit tradition is not missing a beat. The Detroit Jazz Festival is adapting to the health and safety guidelines by going virtual. Performances over the Labor Day weekend will take place on indoor sound stages without audiences, and the festival will be streamed and broadcast live. I talked about the new format with Chris Collins of the Detroit Jazz Festival Foundation and Jasmine DeForest from the presenting sponsor, Rocket Mortgage. So Chris, ordinarily this time of year you would be one of the busiest men in Detroit. I get the sense that you are even busier this year, but all for a good cause, and that's to make sure that this wonderful festival that really defines our region is not interrupted by the pandemic. Tell us how that is going to work this year.
Well, we started many months ago when this began. We figured there were going to be a need for some changes, and we put a task force together, worked out many different scenarios for contingencies, and then worked with experts and watched the CDC data. And of course, we finally got to the point where we had to protect our patrons. So we went no audience. We moved to virtual, and then we were very concerned with the recent upticks in movements, and we decided it was best to postpone some of the out-of-town national guests. And we came up with the new format and the new lineup that everyone sees now, which has an amazing mix of artists and, of course, emphasizes our great world-class talent in Detroit, which makes it special. The final format being one where, our 2020 Detroit Jazz Festival, presented by Rocket Mortgage again, which fifth year. Thank you, guys. You came back with us and made it special even in this difficult time. It was very meaningful. And but our logo this year is safe, live, and free, which it has been for 41 years. But in this case, it is safe. It is also live. I insisted that we were not going to do this unless it could be live jazz in Detroit on exceptional stages with exceptional sound and video quality. We wanted to up the threshold of what that is. And we have an incredible team thanks to the fact that we're a no admission festival and we have this robust broadcast technology with Detroit Jazz Fest Live. We were in maybe a singular position to go ahead and make this happen. And so here we are, one of the last standing festivals, 12 hours of broadcast per day, September 4th through 7th. And it's available. We want to make sure it was for everyone. So it's not only online at Facebook Live and Instagram for free. It's on our Detroit Jazz Fest Live app, but it's also on WDET Radio. It's on portions of it on WRCJ and WEMU, Detroit Public Television, and all of it is on our Arts and Entertainment Channel 22 here in Detroit. So the fact is, whether you have Wi-Fi or not, you can hear it, you can see it, you can enjoy it for free. And we've maintained the mission, we've maintained the excellence, we've maintained the artistry. It's the real Detroit Jazz Festival, just in a new, interesting format.
Yeah. So I wonder, given all of the different ways people are going to be able to watch and hear, whether your footprint is a little bigger this year than it would normally be.
Nothing replaces real live in-person jazz. It's a social music, right? But, again, our presenting sponsor, Rocket Mortgage, and along with many of our sponsors, JP Morgan Chase, DTE Foundation, Carhartt, Mac Avenue Music Group, the Dirty Dog, Absopure, these cats stayed with us. So we still have sound stages. They are full stages, full backline, full sound. So the artist experience, they feel as though they're playing in a real venue. All the venues were custom built indoors, so no rain problems this year. Let's give it up for that. And all in the Marriott Renaissance complex in huge spaces. So the level of quality will be stupendous. But also, this idea of virtual, of online, we've been doing it for years. We have a robust program in place and great experts to make it happen. But we're also very aware, like every business, there's great investment in infrastructure here that is going to allow us to amplify, expand the digital domain as we move forward as a way of reaching more demographics, more of the world, introducing them to Detroit. And to your point, it suggests a whole another level of evolution that has come through this moment that made all of us be creative and reinvent ourselves, pivot, call it what you will. The end result is something that we'll all carry forward and hopefully improve who we are and what we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Jasmine, as Chris said, this is the fifth year that Rocket Mortgage is the leading sponsor for our Jazz Festival. Tell us what's different for you guys this year as we have to make adjustments in every part of our lives.
Every part of our lives, as I say every year, Rocket Mortgage is proud to be the presenting sponsor of the Jazz Festival. It really puts our city on a national scale, and it shines just such a positive light on the city of Detroit. And internally, we have had to do the pandemic pivot, which is what I've been calling it on so many different levels. We have a community festival, Detroit Out Loud, that was held live last year at Rouge Park, that we've had to turn into a virtual festival. And there's a great learning curve around that. Making sure that it's quality, that it looks good, that there's programming for everyone. And so we understood all of the hoops and the research and everything that Chris and his team put into and invested in to bring the Detroit Jazz Festival here again virtually this year. And it takes a lot of work. I think the assumption is it's virtual, it's online. That means that it's easier, but it takes the same amount of work, if not even more work, especially considering the COVID precautions that everyone has to take when you're doing these live sets. You have to have someone who's checking temperatures and wearing masks and all of those sorts of things. And so we really wanted to come back as a presenting sponsor, because this is what not only Detroit needs, but the world needs: jazz and good music, and just an opportunity to relax, with some good music, great talent for the holiday weekend, especially going into the fall with so much with schools and everything else. So, it's great that Chris decided to do the pandemic pivot and to bring the Detroit Jazz Festival back again, but virtually. And he and his team are just working incredibly hard to make sure that it's an amazing experience for everyone.
Yeah. So let's talk about the lineup. Who people will be able to enjoy the Jazz Festival. That's my favorite thing, of course, every year is who's coming to Detroit to be part of this. Chris, who should I be looking for?
Well, I'll tell you, we're very fortunate. We have some special moments. We are celebrating the 80th birthday of Pharoah Sanders. He's going to be with us. He wanted to be here. He said it's an absolute because everything else got canceled. And as my mom once said, if you're walking down the street and someone's in trouble and you're the only one there, guess what? It falls on you. So I said, let's do this. In addition to all the economic pieces with our crew and artistry, we wanted to make it happen. And Pharoah wanted to be there with us. So his 80th birthday, along with one of our Untitled series presented by Quicken Mortgage, presented by Rocket Mortgage. Robert Glasper is with us this year. The great Renee Marie is with us. Steve Teray, the incredible trombonist and shell player. Joey Alexander, along with this incredible host of world-class Detroit talent. Robert Hurst presenting Black Currant Jam. Naima Schamberger and the Sister Strings Program. James Carter, organ trio. Rodney Whitaker, septet. Walter White Big Band. Lulu Falls and Chris Johnson. And a very special piece is opening the festival. We're calling it Justice. It's a 4-movement piece. Each movement is presented by a different ensemble that's playing elsewhere at the festival, and they've composed an original work, and it deals with the amplification of all these issues, the fact that we're revisiting issues and understanding that there's been movement in some areas and no movement in others, and we're forced to look into ourselves. So Justice is a piece that gives us a chance to express those emotions and feelings musically. So movement 1 is Naima Schamberger with the Sister Strings Program. They're doing a traditional African spiritual, Kumbaya, rearranged, and then the all-stars from the Detroit Jazz Festival doing one of my pieces, Fear and the Fearless, and then Michael Jellick on solo piano, Promise and Perseverance, and then Robert Hurst Group wraps it up in the 4th movement with Just Us for All. And there'll be pieces of John Lewis in there. There'll be all sorts of little messaging and beauty. And it's a coming together of our community to make one joint statement. We'll use all the stages contiguously. It's going to be a very beautiful expression at the beginning of the festival. So there'll be those special moments and unexpected pleasures, visits by some of our national artists we had to postpone. They'll be visiting us throughout the festival, and a lot of surprises along the way.
Yeah. Chris, talk about the power of art like this at this moment, not just during the pandemic, which is, this global tragedy that we're all trying to get our minds around, but also this moment in America where, as you point out, we're talking about progress. We're talking about the lack of progress. We're seeing people push harder for things to change. Art has always been a vehicle for this, and jazz, of course, has a closer relationship to some of these issues than other art forms. It seems to me like the festival, in some ways, is just bigger this year than it has been in the past because of what else is going on.
This is a very important moment. Jazz is a Black music, but I can tell you from my perspective as a jazz artist, it welcomes everyone. If you're a player, if you're a patron, if you love it, if you respect and understand it, you're welcome to the party. So there's a very important moment here that speaks to many of the things happening in our community and around the world. And sometimes music and art can be that vehicle. It can remove some of the language, some of the predetermined narrative in politics, because it becomes more ethereal. It becomes about a feeling, an expression, and it helps to maintain and propagate a conversation and an exploration of truth in a very open-minded way that you can't always get when you're just conversing. And of course, music, art in general is the primary representative of human history. And in fact, when I was asked at the very beginning, why did you announce in March, the same day the governor announced the stay-at-home order, that you were having the Detroit Jazz? Why don't you just cancel it like everyone else? And I said, hope. We need hope. I don't want to put the festival foundation out of work for a year and all the money that would go to artists and crew. We need to continue on this path. And if we have to cancel a lot of data, we will, because health and safety is first. But if art can survive, it needs to be a part of every moment in life because it feeds us. It's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's a moment, as Jasmine said, of celebration in the good times and the bad times. It reminds us we're a community. It reminds us we're a human collection of minds and souls.
Yeah. And Jasmine, the connection between Jazz Fest, Rocket Mortgage, and Detroit, and downtown Detroit, which is where we would normally be getting ready to do this, is again part of that elevation of the whole idea of the festival and the music, the art, and the moment. I feel like you guys are also committing to the idea of art speaking to us the way it does, especially here in Detroit.
Definitely. And I know for my team specifically, we support diverse and inclusive events that attract a wide range of audiences and that also affect the economic impact and growth of the city of Detroit. And, although the Detroit Jazz Festival, when it happens live, it happens in our backyard, within our footprint. But as I've always said, the Detroit Jazz Festival for us is more than just having the backdrop of downtown, right? Of course, downtown is beautiful. It definitely has great impact on the businesses, the retailers, as well as the restaurants that are in the downtown area. And that's another negative effect of the pandemic, that we won't see that foot traffic that impacts those amazing businesses in that area. But to Chris's point earlier, there's great economic impact in continuing the event because of the fact that they're still able to hire great technical talent, event planners, the caterers, the hospitality industry, the lighting techs, the camera operators, all of these folks who have been laid off or furloughed from various art and cultural institutions and organizations throughout the city of Detroit, as well as the talent, right? Because we need to be able to support creatives. We need to be able to support creatives on and off screen, right? And so this is, or on and off the stage, and this is just a great opportunity to do that. 80% of what I support as a director of community sponsorships is primarily around art and cultural initiatives. And this just ties a great thread. The Jazz Festival is not just about, it is about the music, but the Detroit Jazz Festival Foundation, Gretchen's Legacy, they're doing year-round programming, educational programming. They're connecting and bridging gaps between youth, coming up in the jazz game, as well as icons and legends who are able to share stages and to be able to not just learn from Chris, but other, icons within the jazz area, especially even Detroit natives who are a part of this culture and a part of this genre of music. And so it just, it makes sense for us. It's a year round celebration that a lot of people don't even realize all of the work that they're doing year round in terms of tying threads and connecting to the community and really reaching back and saying, let's grab these young cats, as Chris likes to say, and connect them with Aditi or connect them with, me and, mentorship and all those sorts of things. And so art really makes the world go round. And I know a lot of response to COVID was your immediate priority. So it was food, it was housing, jobs, all of those sorts of things, right? And now we're seeing that our art and cultural sector organizations, whether if it's music, whether if it's museums or cultural groups, still need that support, because art is what makes us move, right? It's music, it's culture, it's the celebration. It's the thing that when you see those movies that are like apocalyptic movies or zombie movies, and that person finds the book, or they find a violin, or they find an old vintage guitar. Those are like the bright moments in these movies. And so we have to continue to support our art and cultural organizations just to make sure that it continues, because we need it now, and we'll need art, music, and culture into the future. It tells our story.